was one of the first to realize the changes industrialization perpetuated on social order and class structure, and argued for a science of society that would be on equal footing with the natural sciences. Auguste Comte postulated that the new kinds of social disorder were unable to be rectified by obsolete idea systems. Comte popularized Saint-Simon's vision and coined the term sociology, and is usually regarded as the first sociologist. The science of mathematics was employed by English clergyman and economist Robert Malthus, who warned that population would increase geometrically, while food production capability would only increase arithmetically, eventually leading to mass starvation. Fortunately, the Malthusian theory underestimated human ingenuity and its ability to utilize irrigation, fertilizer, and pesticides to geometrically increase food production. Unfortunately, today, in some third world pre-industrialized countries, Malthus was right. Harriet Martineau, the daughter of a textile manufacturer, pioneered the feminist movement the day her third brother was sent away to university, and she was told to make skirts and darn stockings. Miss Martineau claimed that women were treated like slaves and given indulgence rather than justice. She argued for women's right to vote before Parliament, wrote books and articles objecting to unfair laws against women, and is considered to be one of the first female social activists. John Stuart Mill proposed a social theory of utilitarianism, wherein actions are right in proportion as they tend to promote happiness, wrong as they tend to produce the reverse of happiness. In social and intellectual partnership with Harriet Taylor, Mill riled for self-determination and against paternalism, a social system where a benevolent but authoritarian government provides for the welfare of people. Mill and Taylor argued that, after the basic necessities of life have been met, freedom, or the opportunity to develop one's own life according to one's own values, is the most important human need. This brings us to Karl Marx. Marx posited a labor theory of value, in which he argued that the bourgeoisie, or factory owners, exploited the proletariat, or workers, who owned very little and were forced to sell their labor to the capitalists. While the Industrial Revolution had the potential to free everyone from want, wealth was concentrated in the hands of a very few, while the masses still starved. Referencing Hegel, Marx developed his theory of dialectical materialism, wherein conflict between the social classes could be addressed only through radical social change, even revolution, when the proletariat would rise up against their oppressors and take what was rightfully theirs. In so doing, society would have progressed from feudalism through capitalism to finally socialism. Friedrich Engels, the eldest son of a successful German industrialist, shared Marx's views on capitalism. Together they wrote the Communist Manifesto, which begins with the assertion, "The history of all hitherto existing society is the history of class struggles." The social conflict paradigm, intimated by the work of Marx and Engels, is used by sociologists to understand mechanisms of social change based on unequal distribution of things valued by a culture, such as money, power, education, prestige, and so forth. Typically, those in possession try to hold on to what they have, and those without will try to get what they can. In short, social inequality leads to conflict, which is resolved only by social change. The Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto asserted that Marx's hope to achieve dramatic social changes with an economic revolution was impossible due to the strength of human instincts, and that a small elite inevitably dominates society on the basis of enlightened self-interest. Pareto saw change to occur only when one group of elites is replaced by another. The German sociologist Ferdinand Tönnies perceived the erosion of close personal relationships of the rural community when people took jobs in urban areas. His concerns are summarized in two words that have since become a staple of the sociologist's lexicon. Gemeinschaft, or community, refers to a type of social organization where people are closely united through tradition and kinship, such as the family or neighborhood. Gesellschaft, or association, characterizes the type of social organization where people unite on the basis of self-interest, with little desire to enhance the well-being of everyone. While Marx, Tonya, and others were concerned with the macrocosmic sociological effects, German sociologist Georg Simmel was best known for his work on smaller-scale issues and understood that interaction among people was one of the major tasks of sociology. Simmel perceived a dialectical tension in modern society that afforded freedom from traditional bonds and the alienation of the individual within the culture of urban life. Simmel's book, The Philosophy of Money, described the impersonal but rational bonds between people based solely upon money, and how money created distance between individuals and objects, while simultaneously providing a means to overcome that distance. Another theorist who saw money as a galvanizing influence was the American economist and social critic Thorstein Veblen. In his landmark book, The Theory of the Leisure Class, Veblen analyzed industrial society according to Charles Darwin's evolutionary theory, whereby companies were run by selfish predators who indulged themselves with conspicuous consumption, rather than demonstrating virtues of diligence, efficiency, and cooperation. However, Darwin's ideas had been expostulated a quarter century earlier by sociologist Herbert Spencer in his seminal work, The Study of Sociology. Spencer coined the phrase, the survival of the fittest, in reference to the competitive jungle nature of society, where the fittest people rose to wealth, while the unfit descended into poverty. Spencer argued that the unfit society should be permitted to die off, thus promoting adaptive upgrading of the world as a whole. This view, known as social Darwinism, draws parallels between processes of natural selection at work in the animal kingdom and those also at work in the evolution of societal groups. Spencer also saw society as an organism, analogous to the human body, that instead of muscles, bones, and organs, had different societal components working together to preserve health and survival. Emil Durkheim sought to study the elements of society's structure by which it functioned and through which social order was maintained. Unlike Hobbes and Rousseau, Durkheim rejected the notion of rational self-interest in favor of an underlying set of moral norms and values, or a collective conscience that produced what he called mechanical solidarity. Durkheim's first book, The Division of Labor, explained how work role specialization in industrial societies simultaneously increases individualism while creating a new kind of collective conscience based on interdependence or an organic solidarity. Durkheim formulated rules by which sociologists could scientifically study society and obtain facts, set forth in his The Rules of Sociological Method. Durkheim found that one of the best times to study society was when social mores were violated. Durkheim found that deviance can help a society to rethink its boundaries and move towards social change.
Obviously, society creates deviance by making laws. If there were no laws, there'd be no deviance, no criminals. But we need laws, and Freud recognized that too. He said society must frustrate its members, but that doesn't mean it's healthy for them. And society often goes too far in suppressing or repressing pleasurable tendencies.